pulled up to Surdykes Port 20 here in Osage Beach, where we've got more than just a real estate market update for you today. I'm walking down to the dock right now to go meet with Jesse Faulstich and Jay Brewer. Jay Brewer is with Osage Beach Marine Services. He is a boat surveyor, something that you may not know much about, and frankly, I know nothing about. But as I was reading and learning about his services, I was like, damn, that's something that I feel like a lot of boat owners probably don't even know about. So Jesse is going to interview Jay, and then we're going to get into the February market update. So stay tuned.
Hey, so today we have one of my really good friends, Captain Jay Brewer with Osage Beach Marine Services. And Jay had moved here full-time a few years ago now.
Almost 6 years ago.
Just outside of Denver, Colorado. Wanted to live the full lake life. We met you at a New Year's Eve party. You guys came experience the area and said, wow, we want to be a piece of the lake life.
Yep.
And have been loving it ever since.
Absolutely.
He retired from his previous occupation over in Denver and then came to the lake and just tried to find what spoke to you. And so you became a captain first.
I did.
And then decided to get into boat surveying.
Mm-hmm.
And even me growing up here at like the Ozarks for essentially all my life, I kind of knew what a boat survey was, but not really. And once I started talking about it with Captain Jay here a little bit more, I found out a lot more about it. And I figured you guys would want to know what that is too. So what is a boat survey? Why do people need a boat survey?
Great. So to put it in the simplest terms, it would be like a home inspection, only on a yacht or a boat. And why is it important? It's important for safety reasons. If you're buying a boat, you want to know what you're buying.
Sure.
You don't want to purchase something and then it needs a $30,000 transom because it's rotten.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily use the word rotten a lot, but it could be wet, whatever.
I think you tell me wet stringers.
Wet stringers are a big deal for sure, especially a lot of the boats that sit in the water that have been in the water a long time and maybe not maintained so well. We want to be able to determine that. So,
oh yeah, because the underpainting, all that stuff.
Correct. Yep. Not they can get wet over a period of time. So we want to understand that. So why do people need that? Obviously, you want to make sure you're making a good purchase. And more we see with insurance companies want to see a survey so they understand that they're underwriting something that is viable or something that's worth what it should be worth, right?
A boat that floats.
Correct. And then also banks, if people are financing, which happens quite a bit, banks will want to see a survey so they understand what the value is and if they're loaning money on something that's worth what the seller proclaims it's worth.
Yeah, in the event that they have to repossess it, that it still has value.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So what is a marine survey? In the simplest terms or layman's terms, it would be like home inspection on the water.
Yep.
However, it's a little more involved and things are a little bit different because we're working in the marine environment.
Yep.
And any body of water that you set a boat on or put a boat in, it's the marine environment's going to attack basically everything on the vessel at a pretty aggressive rate. So we want to make sure that everything's in place that's trying to counteract those forces to make the boat not worth much.
Right.
So we're looking, the primary objective is to look at things that are covered under federal law or Coast Guard or Code of Federal Regulations.
Oh.
And those are safety items that typically could potentially make the vessel burn to the waterline, sink, or in the case of a gasoline-propelled vessel, explode, which it happens. There are explosions with them. So we want to make sure that none of those things exist. As I go through the vessel stem to stern, if I see any of those items, those will come out in a finding, and then I'll give a recommendation on what should be done to remedy the situation. So those are really high-level things that we want to make sure don't exist for the client, for anyone involved in the transaction. Secondly, there's several hundred standards by the American Boat and Yacht Council, or ABYC, that apply to recreational fiberglass vessels.
Okay.
And the lion's share of vessels on this lake in particular are fiberglass recreational vessels.
Yeah.
So those things, if I find any of those items, those are recommended standards. Those can come out as either B or C standards. a B standard, something is not as critical as an A standard, but it could still have some safety ramifications, and we want to make sure that those are taken care of in a timely manner. What's a timely manner? Like within the next season, right?
Okay.
C findings are typically cosmetic findings, and those are things that you can fix or not fix at your leisure.
The old dock rash.
The old dock rash, fix it, don't fix it. On a 27-year-old Sea Ray 330, you might not get too carried away with that. Or a vessel like this that's a couple years old, you might be a little bit more concerned about some dock rash and scratches. So all that will come out in a report that I publish with photographs of any deficiencies. I also, with the survey, will do a fair market analysis of what I could contend the vessel is worth.
Oh, okay.
And the way that I determine that is I primarily use 3 pieces of information. There's a service that I use called Buck Value Pro, and Buck Value Pro, to put it in layman's terms, kind of like the Kelly Blue Book of boating. So I figure out what the average is there, and then I look at the same boat that's been sold in the last, I like to use 3 or 4 years, and then I run a comparison of those. If I can pull 5 or 6 boats off that are like year, same engines, you know, basically the same vessel, I run an average of that, and then I look at current listings. If it's a saltwater boat, I'll derate those for about 15%. But if it lives here on the lake, they're all kind of same, they're kind of even, right? So then I average that number, and those all get averaged together, and I come up with a fair market value.
Wow, 15% discount for a saltwater boat.
100%, yeah, at least 15%, which is why freshwater boats are, well, they're desirable for the price, and they're also desirable because they don't have the patina that happens when you put a vessel in salt water.
I'd always knew that they were more desirable, but I didn't know the 15% of it.
It's amazing how corrosive salt water is on a vessel, even though they're built for it. They still will get some patina or corrosion. Sure.
Wow.
Yep.
So who needs a boat survey? A person buying a used PWC, a person buying a used Tri-Tune, a person buying a used boat, a person buying new PWC, new Tri-Tune, new yacht?
I would. Most people don't do anything for personal watercraft, so you know, nobody does because it gets your price point so low. Now, as these things get bigger and more sophisticated, more expensive, I'm sure that we'll see that because many of the same rules apply, right? That apply to a recreational vessel that you can, you know, sit on with your family. But yeah, any other vessel that you're purchasing, you should probably have a surveyor take a look at it to understand if it's seaworthy, does it meet all the requirements for Coast Guard or for the federal regulations, ABYC standards.
Do you do very many Tri-Tunes? They seem pretty straightforward to me.
I'm doing more and more of them, and it's really just people want to make sure that everything works. You're not going to do much with a fiberglass tri-hull or twin hull, like in the case of a pontoon. I mean, you could do a visual inspection for cracks and those sorts of things. To really do it correctly, you would let it age a bit and do some infrared testing on it to make sure that there aren't any areas of cracking or thinning, corrosion, sort of thing.
Cool. So you pretty much go through here with a fine-tooth comb, a flashlight, stethoscope, all the things.
Yeah, borescope, any number of meters that I have. But yes, everything on the vessel is tested, and it gets what's called a condition statement, and that the report. So what's a condition statement? A condition statement, for example, on this vessel, we have 2 refrigerators. So it would be, what is it? Where is it? How is it powered? And is it serviceable? Is it functional? Do I see anything wrong with it? Are the door seals bad in it? And including with that is the model and serial number, if it has a serial number. That
just
all comes
like residential.
out 100%. So everything's tested and documented in what's called a condition statement.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So for every hour that I spend on the vessel, I'm probably in the neighborhood of an hour and a half to an hour and 40 minutes writing the report. So it's quite an investment of time, more than anything.
That's what I was wondering. How long does it just for reference, how long would it take you to survey a tri-tune compared to a 40-foot boat such as this?
Yeah, this vessel, if I get on board and go through everything and write the report, start to finish, I'm probably going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 13 hours invested in this to give the customer the final published product.
Yeah.
And then a tri-tune, you're probably looking at half of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
What's the range of cost for a boat survey?
So in my case, everybody does a little bit differently. Most surveyors do it by the foot, and then you have a minimum charge.
Sure.
So, a 30-foot boat isn't really going to take a whole lot much less time than a 35-foot boat, unless you start getting into cabin cruisers.
Yep.
So, yeah, so it's just the minimum charge. For me personally, I'm $800, and that's up to a 33-foot vessel.
Okay.
And then $18 per foot after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and you're doing an inspection and an appraisal at the same time, so.
It's just really what I try to explain to my customers is it's a pretty considerable investment of time.
Yeah.
And also I take it really seriously in that I want to help them make the best decision they can. I hear people say a lot like, yeah, I want to make a good investment. I always try to tell them like,
it's a boat.
It's a boat. It's not. It's an investment in your pleasure. It can also be an investment in your frustration.
Yeah.
But it's not a financial investment, as it were. However, we want to put them in the best position that we can, so they're not making a bad financial mistake.
At least know what it is you're getting into.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they get to make a decision from there. Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right on. Well, thanks for explaining all that to us today.
Sure.
Appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
And everybody, this is Captain Jay Brewer with Osage Beach Marine Services. How do people connect with you, Jay?
So you can contact me through my website, osagebeachmarineservices.com, or you can give me a call. You can also find me on Facebook under Jay Brewer, and my phone number is 303-517-0762, and contact me anytime.
Oh, very cool. I'm sure Jeff will have the links down in the comment section.
Great.
And this boat here is for sale. I've seen some things on Facebook on it.
Yes, this is my personal boat, and I think we're going to make a switch and have a center console that we can travel down to the Keys, because we do winter
cool.
in the Keys. But yeah, this is she's a magnificent boat.
I can tell you what, this thing is spick and span from top to bottom.
Thank you.
Very cool. Well, thanks, Jay.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
This is a much better setting
Yeah.
than where you guys were sitting. I like this.
Heck yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
I honestly, other than you introducing me to Jay, did not know that existed.
Yeah. There was a lot more to it than what I ever gave it credit for. And I had asked him before, yeah, he surveys brand new boats, used boats. Kind of like if you had a house built from new construction, I would still suggest you have it inspected, because there's going to be things that come to light that the builder's not aware of.
Yeah.
And then it's a lot easier to get it fixed before you write the check than after you get the check.
Yeah, when you think about it, it's like Carfax, right? Like you get to know, but with a boat, like this is incredibly important. Maybe more so than anything, because you could sink.
Yeah, and I don't think he mentioned it, but he goes out and water tests those. That's part of the boat survey as well. And then they get it up out of the water and check the hole, and yeah, so there's quite a bit that goes into one of those.
I love it. And you heard what he said, that this boat's for sale, which immediately sparked me to say, I'm gonna do some content about this boat. So go over to our short forums, you'll see this, and if you're interested, you've got all of our contact info. If you're in the market, this is a beautiful boat.
This is as clean as what they're gonna come.
Yeah.
I mean, he is very particular about the boat.
Yep.
So it's in tip-top shape, like a brand new one. It's awesome. We've been out on this boat a few times, and it's with a Seakeeper and this 40-foot twin 600 outboards. I mean, I think he gets this thing up to 60 mile an hour, 62 mile an hour or something. This is a big, heavy boat that, I mean, you put the Seakeeper on it and it's like it's on stilts out in the water. It doesn't move around. It's wild.
Yeah.
This is an awesome boat.
Yeah.
Awesome boat.
Probably cheap too.
Yeah. Those probably don't go together.
No, they don't. Speaking of cost, how'd February go?
February was a little bit interesting for lake homes. You know, we're off to a roaring start in January, and February hit a little bit of a speed bump for lakefront homes. Lakefront condos, on the other hand, they have they've got some really strong winds, headwinds.
Good.
In the face.
Oh.
Not the back. Not so good.
Are we talking because of all of the changes that have gone down with associations and insurance and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think that's more the common theme. I mean, looking at HOA dues, some of those went up after the new year.
Oh, yeah.
You're starting to see more and more competition within developments themselves. So when you're one of 6 two-bedroom condos in a development, how do you stand out from the rest of them, and why does somebody buy your place instead of the 5 other ones that are on the market?
Yeah.
We're seeing days on market creep up, so showing a less desire for a condo. Now it is February at Lake of the Ozarks. Yep. So there's a little bit of that seasonality trend to it, but in these numbers we compare back to last February too. But we saw a common theme with condos at the end of 2024 where the appetite for it was dropping off. And that's been continuing this year. As those days on market creep up, I would have to say that you're gonna see that median sale price trend down a little bit. With that HOA rise coming up, it's hard for you to continually increase the median sale price and HOA fees. Those two come to a head. Mm-hmm. So one's got to give, and there's really no give in an HOA due.
Well, I can't help you with that, but what I can help you with is that we are sitting here at the beginning of March, and we've got 70-degree temps coming here next week, which means if your excitement for the Lake of the Ozarks isn't notching up considerably from a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, we had almost a foot of snow down here, which is pretty abnormal.
Yeah.
It's getting exciting, man.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Next weekend is St. Patrick's Day, so there's St. Patrick's Day Harbor Hop.
There's a water parade.
Yep.
There's
water parade.
Land parade.
Yep.
There's a pub crawl on the west side.
Even today, down on the strip, they're doing
putt-putt.
Yep. Throughout. So that's what I usually tell sellers. Right around St. Patrick's Day really starts to open our market up, depending on the weather. We can still get cold weekends throughout March. We've seen snow showers in April. But with the warmer weather, especially on weekends and when it's warmer in surrounding areas, we'll get much more traffic down here. Mm-hmm. Then people start thinking, oh yeah, Lake of the Ozarks, we're gonna be there this summer. We said we were gonna buy a lake house, let's get back into the market. So that portion of the market's starting to take off.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's give it to them.
Okay. As always, we start with Lakefront Homes. New Lakefront Homes listings this February were down 11.7% compared to February 2024. We only had 83 new listings this February compared to 94 last February. Our median Lakefront home sale price was up 2.3% this February at $593,250 compared to last February at $580,000. And is 17.5% higher median sale price than February of 2023, which back then was just over $500,000. So now we're pushing up to that $600,000 mark. There were 7 fewer lakefront homes sold this February at 20 compared to February 2024. But really we're still neck and neck year to date with where we were last year. Months of supply is at 4.7 months of supply. It's still signaling a seller's market. Last February we were at 4.4 months, so not much of a change in that. Current year-to-date listed sale price ratio is 96.38, just a bit higher than what it was last year. So still sticking really tight on the negotiations for this seasonality. Things will get tighter once we get more into the demand season, but this is common from last year. February 2025 average days on market is 52 days. That's down 8% from February 2024 at 57 days. So appetite for a lakefront home is still very strong. Lake homes for sale by price bracket from the $300,000 to $499,000. It's actually up 7 homes from last month at 32. $500,000 to $749,000, up 15 homes from last month at 45. $750,000 house to just under $1 million, up 4 homes from last month at 36. $1 million to $5 million, 75 homes, up 9 from last month. Yeah.
Did I not just hear every category was up?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Which we'd seen that tick up a little bit on months of supply. So this is kind of representative of that. And we had a little bit of a tail off of our sales.
It makes sense. People are ready. Yeah, they got through the winter season, and now it's selling.
Yeah, Lake of the Ozarks is very much out of sight, out of mind in the wintertime. With further development like Point Oasis, some of the different things that would be going on here to bring more activity in the wintertime, that will help that trend. But I mean, you've got the holidays at the end of 2024. For us, we went on a ski trip, you know, and we live here at the lake, but it's just some of that stuff that it's out of sight, out of mind until the weather starts to warm up. You get some of those warm days, and I tell you what, there's a lot of golf to be had here at Lake of the Ozarks. How many golf courses are around here? Over a dozen. Yeah, so people will start trailing in back here.
I say it, I've said this a lot, I'm gonna say it again. For those of you that are weekend warriors, or this is a second home, you really should give the off season more of your time. You will not regret it. It's night and day from the summer.
Yeah.
But if you like to relax, if you like to chill, if you like quiet, man.
Yeah, you fall in love with different seasons at the lake.
Yeah.
Even to be here when it's snowing, for me to have a fire going in the fireplace and see the snow flying over the lake, I mean, that's hard to beat.
It did not
really
suck.
awesome.
I was here and it didn't suck. It was nice.
Yeah, you come down, knock out a few projects while you're down here, enjoy it. Yeah.
Just get down here before the snow happens, because these roads can be difficult to navigate.
You can say that.
School shuts down for like 2 weeks.
Okay, now let's jump over to lakefront condos that are not so pretty. New listings this February were up almost 34%. We had 115 new condos hit the market this February compared to 86 last February.
Wow, it's almost double.
Median sale price for lakefront condos was down almost 5% this February at $290,000 from February 24 that was just under $305,000. This trend of the new condos to market and the median sale price and the number of sales was nearly identical in February of 2023. And then we had a bounce back up in March, and that median sale price went right back up to 340. So not to say, oh my gosh, there's a market correction coming. There's some seasonality things going.
Sure.
On top of the known headwinds.
Not to mention rates are starting to dip a little bit.
Yeah, that's a welcome sight, isn't it? For buyers and sellers alike. I think still general consensus is that 6 1/3 to 6 1/2 before the end of the year.
Yeah.
But everything that I had read said it was going to be a choppy road between now and then.
Yeah.
There was going to be some ups and downs.
Yep.
Sales were down almost 21% at 23 condos this February compared to 29 last February. Months of supply jumped from 6.7 last month to 8.1 this month. So with all that new inventories really put that up. This puts us in a buyer's market for sure. You just have so many more options even within a condo complex. In the context of rising home month supply in the condo market, February 2024, we were sitting at 5.2. So we've got another month and a half worth of supply. So that means if you did not have any more condos come to market, you just shut it off. As of right now, with the rates of sale, we have over 6.5 months worth of inventory on the market before we would run out. Wow. Now that demand is going to jump up in the springtime, but also is inventory, and we're already getting a head start on the inventory. Listed sale price ratio reduced to 95.5 compared to 98.5% last year. 95.5 is the lowest listed sale price ratio since January of 2017.
Holy shit.
So that means that there's a lot more negotiation happening right now.
Wow.
Because you have increased competition. So, I mean, it's supply and demand.
Yeah.
Is in full effect.
Absolutely.
Average days on market for condos this February is still trending up. It is now at 85 days, a 32% increase from a year ago at 64 days. Condos available by rooms, 2 bedrooms available, 107, down 11 condos from last month. 3 bedrooms available, 181, 5 condos from last month. 4 bedroom, available, 29 of 5 condos from last month. So like I said, the Lakefront home market hit a minor speed bump this month. Lakefront homes are still very strong. I imagine we'll see some big numbers being posted for March and April.
It's exciting.
Still showing appreciation with the median sale price rise.
I don't see that changing.
Yeah, we're the median sale price year to date is 8.34% higher than what it was last year at this time. Inventory is just a little bit lower, but everything has been very, very similar to years past in growing on that. Condos, it's been tough. New inventory is up over 38%. Sales are down 18%. The market's contracted over 20% in condos so far this year. Just signaling further weakening appetite with that 82 days year to date on market. Average days on market, 82. Compared to last year, it's 60.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a big jump.
Yep. So that's what makes it important to have a good strategy, both for buyers and sellers. Sellers, it's very important that you stand out from the crowd. And with us over here at Lake Expo Real Estate, new name for you.
Mm-hmm. That was a question coming up.
Yep. So we can get you 10 times the exposure of just any other real estate company just by tapping into that Lake Expo crowd. It's wild. And the reason why we wanted to make that partnership and switch the brand name just for more market recognition here at Lake of the Ozarks.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So when did that happen? If you notice his hat, he's got a new hat.
So by the time of airing this on Saturday, it will become official this coming week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So when this comes
That's
out,
exciting. It'll be already, it's already official.
we still have a lot of little website tweaks to make. We've got our...
So I shouldn't leak this video right now. Trust me, it won't happen.
Yeah. Buyers, very essential to look at the market abroad, even if you're just interested in one condo complex, but to formulate your offer with the whole market in mind. And being able to express that with data points when you submit an offer that says, here's our offer, this is why we're submitting it, versus if you want to sell it, we'll take it off your hands for this. But to have actual data when you submit that offer for that listing agent to communicate that to the seller, to help bring the seller around, like, oh, maybe this is the best I can get right now, and yes, we do want to sell it with those metrics in mind, which makes it very important to work with a professional realtor, hopefully me, Jesse Faulstich with Lake Expo Real Estate. You can give me a call at 573-260-0868. Shoot me an email, Jesse, that's Jesse, at lakeexporealestate.com.
I gotta get used to saying that. Even when you just said that, it didn't just roll. I was almost like, oh, you made it. Oh wait, no, you didn't make a mistake. It's not Lakefront Living anymore. It's Lake Expo Real Estate.
Lake Expo Real Estate.
I love it, man. And you already know the reasons why. That makes a lot of sense. And it makes a lot of sense for you when you're selling your home.
Yeah, if you want to get maximum exposure for your house, do you want to expose it to 10 people or 60,000 people?
And I'd love to come and do some content of the house too, because some of those videos really pop and they create a lot of interest. So
yeah, that's what pairing up with Jeff and tapping into the market and what you're doing with TikTok and all the different things of how you reach people on such a broad spectrum.
It's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Who thinks I need to get a TikTok channel up and running? I definitely have to have Jeff manage it.
We gotta drop a poll on it.
Way over my head. That social media
it's
stuff
no
for
different
me.
than Instagram or Facebook. It's just another platform with a lot of people.
Sure.
A lot of Lake of the Ozarkers.
Yeah.
Too, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I'm excited for the next month because I have a feeling it's going to be even warmer than it is where we're sitting today. And that means we're going to start hosting these back on the golf course, on the boat.
On the boat.
I'm excited for that.
Let's go get some good food lakeside.
Also, is a great idea. That's a great idea as well. Before it gets too busy.
Yeah.
See you next month.
See you next month. Bye, y'all.